After taking down the Bengals in a 41-16 rout, the Browns have another big game this week against the Patriots. Both teams have 5-4 records and will likely be battling for a playoff spot, meaning this game could have huge implications come January. The Patriots defense has returned to their usual elite level after a down year in 2020, holding their opponents this year to less than 19 points a game and a league-leading 13 interceptions this season. The offense under rookie quarterback Mac Jones has had promising moments over the course of the season so far, but overall the unit has been mediocre and has struggled to find consistency. But the Patriots in Foxborough are always difficult games, no matter what team has to play them, good or bad, and that will be no different for the Browns this Sunday. Bill Belichick defenses have always been tough to beat since they are elaborate, well-executed, and smart units. We could go into all the different nuances as to why the Patriots defense is one of the league's best, but we'd be here all day. So instead, I want to highlight two staples of Bill Belichick's defenses that will pose problems for the Browns. The first thing I want to talk about is the use of coverage disguises and simulated pressure. Belichick is a master of rattling quarterbacks and making them doubt themselves in their decision-making, which leads to a ton of errant throws and missed plays. On this play against the Chargers, the Patriots present a cover zero look pre-snap with a double A mug gap blitz. The Chargers are running a slot fade concept on third down with the aim of getting Jared Cook isolated out wide. Against a zero look, the best matchup on this play for Justin Herbert would be Keenan Allen on the hitch route, since the man guarding him would be a safety lined up 12 yards apart from him if this was cover zero, and there would be no underneath zone defenders either. Except, as you've probably caught on, the Patriots are actually not in cover zero and they're playing cover two. As Herbert takes the snap, his eyes immediately go to Allen, and he misses the overhang zone defenders in perfect position to at least force the incompletion, which they do. Herbert could have hit the hole shot, meaning the hole between the flat defender and the deep safety in cover 2, to Jared Cook on the fade route towards the boundary, but because of the disguise, he didn't accurately read the coverage and the Chargers were forced to settle for a field goal. In the same game against the Chargers, the Patriots dial up a simulated pressure to try to confuse Herbert and the offensive line. The Patriots overload the left side of the line with 4 defenders in the box, as well as a safety creeping up towards the line of scrimmage, and it very clearly looks like an overload blitz to the weak side. But the Patriots aren't actually blitzing from that side. The Patriots are playing cover 1 rat, with the rat defender being the linebacker who's acting as if he's blitzing. The pressure is actually coming from the right side of the line, from a corner in a press alignment while the post safety comes down to guard Keenan Allen man-to-man and replace him, while the box safety rotates at the last second to play the deep third. This simulated pressure messes with quarterbacks as well as offensive lines, since the offense just doesn't know where the pressure is coming from at all times. From the end zone view, you can see that the Chargers call a full slide to the left in order to pick up the 4 blitz threats. This way, if all 4 defenders blitz, they'd be able to pick them all up. However, this has complicated things when only 2 of the 4 Patriots blitz from that side, and it leaves opportunity for the defense to exploit the other side of the protection, opposite from the direction where the full slide is called toward, which in this case is the left, and that's what the Patriots do. The protection doesn't pick up the blitzing corner in time because of the full slide to the left. The right tackle gets cooked by a rip move from Judon, and that doesn't really help anything, and Herbert has to throw it away. The Chargers offense just couldn't get anything going save for a last-minute garbage time touchdown, and the offensive line was awful. It was late to pick up stunts, pressure packages, and blitzes. Herbert was not great either. He was antsy in the pocket. He struggled identifying the Patriots' post-snap disguises and simulated pressure, and just flat out missed on several plays. It wasn't necessarily a credit of the Chargers being bad, and more so just the Patriots being that good in their execution and their play calling, and as well as their disguises, and as well as their simulated pressures. The other thing that the Patriots have had a lot of success with is their unusually high usage of 3-3-5 personnel groupings, meaning 3 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers, and 5 defensive backs as their base package. They have the most snaps in this 3-3 front in the league, and they're very good while in it. They allow the 4th lowest completion percentage, as well as the 6th lowest passer rating while in this front. The Patriots' base front out of this personnel grouping is known as an Okie front. This is when they have the 3 down linemen, 1-0 technique, and 2-5 techniques that line up across from the tackles that can also shade outside depending on the certain alignment, and just general, it's up to the players sometimes to decide where they want to line up. 3 linebackers as well, 2 5 yards out from the tackles, and 1 lined up across from the weak side guard. They'll also often put Kyle Duggar in the box and sometimes put a linebacker, but they like Kyle Duggar, who's a very physical box safety, since he adds some versatility with disguises, blitzes, and so on because of his athleticism. This front works so well against play action, bootleg passes, as the formation is widely aligned and gives the 2 linebackers lined up outside the tackles great angles to go hunt quarterbacks, while the inside linebackers and 3 defensive linemen can really clean things up in case they hand it off. It's also difficult to run outside zone against this formation, which is the type of run that sets up the play action pass in the first place, since it puts 3 hard-to-move, near 300-pound plus defensive tackles that clog up the running lanes and make it very difficult for offensive linemen to move up to the second level. The Patriots use this 3-3-5 personnel grouping more than anyone else in the league by a significant margin, and it's very effective for stopping this wide zone play-action offense like the Browns run. However, there are some ways, as with any defensive adjustment or alignment in the NFL, you can exploit this. The biggest issue with Okie fronts with 3 big defensive tackles is that it doesn't really allow you to have much of a pass rush, since it prioritizes big-bodied defensive tackles who are better against the run, and it also puts more stress on your secondary since they have to hold up longer. Dallas attacked through the air early in the game in New England and forced the Patriots defense to play more 4-down fronts to get after the quarterback. That's when Dallas began to run the ball quite effectively. Against 4-down fronts, the biggest weakness offenses have always exploited historically is the weak side B gap. 90% of the time, when the run goes through that weak side B gap against 4-down fronts, the offense gets a guard in space for free for the running back to follow for big gains. And if you're the Browns, you definitely want Wyatt Teller running free with, well, not Nick Chubb sadly, but D'Ernest Johnson running behind him. This only works, however, if you test the Patriots secondary early, which is what the Browns will need to do if they want to find success over the course of the game and force the Patriots out of their 3-3-5 Okie fronts. The Patriots' offense mainly revolves around their physical run game. Their passing offense just doesn't have a ton of upside, as they don't have any real perimeter threats, which is why they place such a heavy emphasis on that run game. The Patriots run the ball at the 8th highest clip in the NFL at over 43% of their total offensive plays, and they do a great job mixing in a ton of different run concepts, specifically out of the I formation. Their bread and butter run concept is duo, which they run at the 5th highest rate in the NFL, and they gain a very nice 4.7 yards per carry, which is the 4th highest mark in the league. Duo is a very simple run. Each blocker simply down blocks the player in whatever gap is in front of them, hence why duo is a gap run scheme, and they just drive their man as far as possible off the line of scrimmage. As a counterpunch, the Pats like to use pitch runs to stretch the defense horizontally, and this way defenses can't just condense their formations to stop duo, since they have to respect the possibility of the outside run. What's funny is the fullback, Jacob Johnson, gives them this versatility in the run game, even out of tight formations like I formation. It's not often that you see a fullback be so crucial to a team's success. In the last 5 weeks alone, the splits with and without Johnson on the field speak for themselves. The Patriots average 5.1 yards per carry on the ground and 4.2 yards per carry without him. He is very strong and aggressive to be the lead blocker on power and duo runs up the middle, even taking on defensive tackles, but he's also quick and agile and moves well in space on those pitch runs the Pats love to run. The Patriots run a very old-school smash-mouth style of offense, but it limits them when they can't pick up yards on first and second down to set up manageable third downs, and the Mac Jones and the drop-pack passing game is just not effective. It's not necessarily all on him, and it's more so on the lack of separation from receivers, but it doesn't change the fact that when the Patriots offense gets to third and long, everything goes awry. On 3rd and 8 yards or more to go, Mac Jones has the 6th lowest passer rating, 5th lowest yards per attempt, and 8th highest interception rate among starting quarterbacks. Jones, while showing he can execute Josh McDaniels' offense, does not make a ton of plays outside of structures. Teams employ many blitzes against the Patriots on 3rd down, since they aren't worried about the Patriots receivers beating their corners one-on-one, which makes life hard on a rookie quarterback in this offense overall. The Browns' key to success will be stopping the run on early downs by playing aggressive and fast and containing their run fits, as well as getting the Patriots' offense to 3rd and long situations where they are statistically weakest at. Like I said at the beginning of this video, this game could determine whether one team gets into the playoffs or not in a few months. The AFC is wide open and extremely tight, and the difference between the 1 seed and a wild card bye and the 8 seed just missing the playoffs might not be more than 3 games. I really want to pick the Browns here, but in these videos I always give my unbiased objective opinion, which is why I have the Browns losing a close game 26-24, where they get down early and try to come back, but it falls just short. The one major weakness of the Browns defense that I'm really worried about is that their interior defensive line isn't easily moved, which plays right into the strength of the Pats' offense. The Browns defense plays a lot of 2 deep safeties to keep everything in front of them, which doesn't really bode well and match up well for playing against a dink and dunk style offense that they'll face this week. I also think Belichick will force Mayfield to be near perfect by playing tons of press coverage, and the Browns receivers will have a hard time getting open, which is a very tall order for your quarterback. Overall, I think it's a very intriguing game, and I won't be surprised at all if either team wins. But without Nick Chubb or Kareem Hunt, a banged-up offensive line, and a depleted receiver core against a top 5 defense on the road, we will see if Baker Mayfield can lead this team to a victory in a pivotal Week 10 AFC matchup.